All right, good morning. I know this is weird for you to watch chapel online, and you might be used to it now with your churches and things like that, but I think in this situation, this is actually what it took for me probably to be willing to share in front of you all. Normally I'm in the back doing sound and tech for chapels, which I love, and I'm actually one of those people who would probably rate the fear of death below the fear of public speaking. And I have some reasons that I think, but I don't know. But God has been really pressing on my heart, especially right now. And I was talking with Mr. Stark, and I think it's pretty relevant what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to share a little bit about my story. It's going to be a two-part chapel. So one this week, I'll be sharing about how God taught me to surrender what he had given to me to him. And then one next week is going to be kind of similar to what we're going through with the missions trips and stuff, is how ultimately a missions trip changed and corrected the course of my life, which was really headed in the wrong direction. And I think both of these topics will be relevant with what's happening in our world right now, especially at this time of the year when many of us are mourning the loss of our annual missions trips. I love the missions trips that we do here. And so I want to start out this chapel just by praying. So will you pray with me? Thank you, Lord God, that we can be together and that we can just come virtually together as the body, as a school this morning. And I pray, God, that you would open up our hearts and our minds to hear from you today, God. And I pray for those who maybe don't know you, who are watching this right now, God, that you would speak your truth to them and that they would hear from you. And I pray for those of us who are fearful and those of us who are just going through this time of just severe uncertainty of what's going to happen with life. God, I pray for your peace. I pray for your peace. And I pray that you would speak your words of truth right now through me and get me out of the way and just allow your Holy Spirit to speak to us today. And I pray, God, that there would be transformation in each of our lives, in my life as well, from this reflection as well. So we love you, Father, so much. We thank you for this time together. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, well, just to begin, some of you don't know who I am, and who is this guy up here? I've only ever seen him in the back when the mics don't work. So this year at TKA marks my 16th year. I started in the fall of 2004 as a spiritual life intern, and over the years, I've had the joy of teaching Bible and math and student council, and more recently, doing audio engineering and AV tech. And some of you have heard some of these stories that I'm going to share today, but many of you haven't. And I'm really praying that you are able to not just hear what I'm sharing, but that you're really able to listen to what the Lord needs you to hear today. And I strongly believe that we are in a daily spiritual battle. And I believe that Satan is fighting right now for you to not hear from Jesus today. And I pray and ask that you would fight back against him as you watch and listen today. I remember when I used to teach 6th grade and 10th grade Bible, and we would always share the gospel. And on those days, there would be some distraction, and I would say, and that's Satan. He's wanting us to not hear from the truth of the gospel today. So, and I also want to say to the seniors that I am really sorry that this year, I know this is different, this is difficult, and it's taken kind of a sad and weird twist, and probably all of your expectations of what senior year could be and should be are now being transformed. However, I do hope that you embrace the fact that you have a great opportunity to respond well in the uncertainty of what this conclusion looks like. And I pray that you're able to share someday about how God used this seemingly despondent end of the year of high school in a miraculous way for your faith. And that to all of you, I hope that my story will encourage you to anchor your souls and your actions and your lives to what matters the most. I'll actually be sharing somewhat of the opposite of what you guys are experiencing right now. But I hope that you'll see that even getting all that I dreamed of and everything that I had wanted in my senior year didn't truly fulfill my soul. So I'm going to begin with my testimony here. The year was 1978. Now, I was born in 78, December of 78, and I grew up in a Christian home, and I prayed the prayer at an early age. I grew up also in a sports home. My dad was a college baseball and soccer coach, and I was raised with a lot of emphasis on sports, but also on sports ministry. That's how our family spent a lot of summers. My dad would take our family and take baseball players from his college teams, and we would go all over the world doing sports ministry, which you'll later see had a big impact on my life. Growing up, around sports all the time, and during my time playing sports in school, I did, pretty well growing up as a kid, and my dad would always remind me, he would say, Matt, you represent Jesus Christ, and the better you are, the more people will care about what you have to say. If you come out here and you can't throw the baseball or you can't make a basket, you don't have as big of a voice. And he said, it's sometimes the platform that God can give you and an opportunity to share the love of Christ and shine light in the darkness and hopelessness of this world. So it was with that framework that sports, that's kind of the framework that I grew up with sports. And I wanted to be good at sports. I wanted to be, I wanted to be really good. I wanted to beat people whenever I was playing them. I was very competitive. I went to a Christian school similar to TKA. Here's a picture of that school. You can see our Spirit Week is similar to what they do. And I was blessed all 4 years of high school to be able to play football and basketball and baseball. And throughout those years, God, I believe, really blessed the efforts that I put in. And also, maybe blessed me for the reasons that I was playing. And every chance that I had, especially my junior and senior year, in interviews after a game with a newspaper or something, I would mention trusting in God. And I would try to give the Lord credit, but looking back on it, the truth is it was really just lip service. I think I was just saying what, a Christian is supposed to say. Okay, so this next part, I just want to preface. I hate sharing about this, but I want you, I don't want to brag, but I also want you to paint a full picture, essentially, of what my senior year was like and how God was blessing me, but at the same time, how I did not, I don't know. I'm just hoping that you'll understand at the end of this how I was still trying to take control over what I had in my life. So my senior year of high school was probably one of the most incredible years of God blessing me with more than I could have ever dreamed of. It was really, honestly, it was kind of obnoxious. My senior football season, and there will probably be pictures here of this, my senior football season was incredible. We won our league. We won, we went to the playoffs. I was named the MVP of the team. I ended up winning the homecoming king that year, with the homecoming queen being a girl that I had liked since 4th grade, which is a whole nother story. Our basketball season, senior year, was incredible. We went all the way to the state playoffs and did really well throughout the season, and I got to play with some of my best friends throughout that year. And then the real blessings came during the final baseball season, which baseball was my favorite sport. Our baseball team was 25-2. We ended up at the end of the season in the San Diego CIF championship game, playing on the same field and stadium as the San Diego Padres, and I was the starting pitcher that day, and we were playing against our biggest rival, Marian Catholic, and God blessed me once again. I don't know why. Well, I think I know, but and that day we ended up winning the game 7-6 in extra innings. And the field's bigger than any field we played on, and so I hit one to right center and actually got a triple, my only triple in all of high school, because I'm not that fast. And then there's also a redemption story of us going back and winning, because the previous year I had gone and was stupid before the game and hurt myself and wasn't able to play. So we'll tell you about that one later. But here's a picture of after the game. This was the moment we scored the winning run of the game. At the end of that game, I was named the Division Player of the Year. I was put on the All San Diego County First Team. I was named the San Diego Union Tribune Academic Baseball Player of the Year, because apparently I had better grades than all of the really good players in San Diego. So I got that award. I got the Faculty Cup Award, essentially, for my school, which is, you guys know about that. And just all of these ridiculous blessings poured out on me. And probably the biggest honor, and I'll have a picture of this in a second, came in at the end of that game. I was selected in the '97 Major League Draft, which was amazing, by the New York Yankees. And here's the picture of that. I love this highlighted part where they ask if you would consider a career in professional baseball with their organization, which, of course, I'm going to consider that. And if you're not into sports, academically speaking, this would be like Stanford emailing you and asking you to please come to their college, and they'll give you a full ride. And they just want you to come to their college. So at this point, I was just overwhelmed by blessings. And I think God was testing me. I think God was truly testing to see what I was really playing for. Was I playing for my glory, or was I playing for His? Because I said with my mouth that I was playing for His glory, but I think He wanted to see if my dreams of being a professional baseball player really were for Him to be glorified, or were just for me to praise myself. And at this point, in all honesty, it was really, really hard not to be proud. How can you not be proud when, I'm a fairly introverted person, but I was just like overwhelmed by all of this attention and all of these awards, and basically everyone was focusing on, my baseball skills and yada yada. And so that same summer, the summer went on, and I was selected to the best team in San Diego, the 18 and under. It was called the San Diego Crush, and we had a great season. Later on, went on and played for the best team in the state of California, in the 18 and under, and was again surrounded by the best players kind of in California on the West Coast. And I was starting to get seduced and pulled into the peer pressure of wanting to fit in, like I'm sure a lot of you are, wanting to be cool, being proud of myself, being arrogant, and leading up to this final game I'm going to share with you about, it was actually, I just remember joining their team, coming up to Oakland here, playing in the game, striking out, the last three batters of their turn to hit. We were tied. I came in and got a hit and scored the winning run. And, how can you not be proud in that situation? Well, that took us to the Connie Mack World Series in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I was in the championship game. We played all the way through, and in that very last game, I was called in from the bullpen as the closer. And I remember warming up before the game. I was feeling totally unbeatable. I still remember that evening, it felt so good. I was feeling so good, throwing so hard. And I wanted to win that game so bad for our team. And I wanted to be the center of that dog pile. I'm sure you guys have seen when the World Series ends and all the guys jump on the pitcher, and the pitcher throws his glove up and hugs the catcher and all of that. That's what I wanted. And I think internally, that was my motive, was for that moment. Well, it was the fifth inning. I got called in of 7 innings. I remember there was runners on second and third. There was 1 out, and I was feeling so good and throwing so hard. And at that point, the other team's best hitter came to the plate. And I remember thinking, oh, this is great. I'm gonna just kill this guy right now. I'm gonna beat him right now in this one-on-one competition, right? So I soon got to a 2-2 count, and I remember thinking, I'm gonna throw the hardest inside fastball, and he'll never touch it. You know, whether he swings or he doesn't, it's gonna be a strike. It's gonna go past him. And I remember winding up, and I remember kind of like turning back and throwing the ball and just pulling down and hitting the ball, or throwing the ball as hard as I could. And I remember sort of like looking back and seeing the ball going, and it wasn't going inside. It started to go down the middle of the plate. And this guy, I don't know if his eyes did this, but they got big, and he drove the ball right back up the middle. And it didn't just go up the middle to center field, it went up the middle to my face. And I had a comebacker hit me, and you'll see this article in the newspaper right here. And as you look over that, you can see there's one section in there where they say, you know, play had to be stopped while they soaked up the blood from Matt Berry's face all over the mound. And I remember falling to the ground. I remember just seeing blood everywhere. I remember one of our coaches came running out. This was awesome. And he just ripped his shirt sleeve off and made this like makeshift bandage out of it and just shoved it on my face. I remember being taken to the hospital and, you know, just all the way to the hospital being so confused and so just unsure. Why did this could not have just happened? This is like a nightmare. This is a dream. This isn't really happening, right? And all I could think about was just saying, God, why? Why would you do this? And I think that's a pretty common response. We want to know why. God, you brought me all this way just to hit me in the face with a baseball for my team to lose the championship game. And it wasn't until later that summer, you know, as I was really in doctor's visits and all of that, I started to realize God was not going to get any credit that night. If I ended up striking Jason out, it was going to be for my glory. And I remember just thinking to myself, what a fool I am. Like, God gave me this gift, and here I was acting like I owned it, right? That's like, you know, you going home to your house and just saying, yeah, this is my house. I own everything here. And your mom or dad being like, no, you don't. We own this. We're letting you have this. We're letting you stay here. And so ultimately, just God was not the one I was playing for. Deep down in my heart, I was playing for people to give me praise. I was playing for people to glorify me. And I was trying to fake humility. At this point, I was sitting in the hospital. I didn't know if I'd ever see again. It was my right eye that got hit. It was swollen completely shut, and the eye socket had gotten shooken crazily, and the doctors had no idea if I'd ever be able to see again. And I wondered too, you know, after all of this, would I ever be able to play baseball again? You know, I mean, even, I don't know if there's any pitchers that only pitch with one eye, maybe for the Pirates. Cut that. Take two. After that summer and after 2 eye surgeries, I was told I could try to keep playing if I wanted to. But I'd have pretty limited vision in my right eye. And I still, I still don't see very well out of my right eye, especially with bright lights. But I remember, this is the important part, I remember sitting down and praying before I went off to college. And I remember promising God that if he allowed me to play baseball, because he was ultimately the one who gave me that ability, and if I could play, he was giving me this second chance, that if I could play, I would use my pitching time on the mound as a time of prayer, as a time of praising God, as a time of almost like a quiet time, because it is kind of quiet out there. You're kind of by yourself out there. Well, flashback, the beginning of the summer, well, the end of the summer, actually. I ended up not signing the contract that summer with the Yankees in hopes that I would get drafted again out of college, right? And I did end up going to college, and I did end up playing for 4 years. And I don't know, miraculously, I ended up doing really well. I pitched in over 100 games after that night, after the night I was hit. And from that point, every single out and almost every single strike, it was a little weird, I'll admit it, but I would thank the Lord. I would throw a strike, and I would say, thank you, Lord. My time on the mound became this really kind of just a time with the Lord. And God, I don't know. Because of that, I think God continued to say, okay, this is why I gave you this. This is how I want you to use this gift. So in the summer between my junior and senior year of college, I ended up playing for a summer sports ministry team called Athletes in Action, where the goal was to play baseball and then share the gospel with your opponents after all the games. So if it was a new team that you were playing, you would get to go and share the gospel. Someone would share their testimony. And I have a crazy story about getting to share my testimony. It's unreal. But I really found that I loved the guys on that team. I loved what that team's purpose was. I loved the experience. And it was really because of that summer, it led me to something that later on in my story you'll hear about, probably next week. Well, after college ended, I did get to live the dream of playing baseball professionally. I got to play on an independent single-A team called the Richmond Roosters. Here's some pictures of that. We got to play in front of stadiums filled with thousands and thousands of people. Not only that, but God blessed me and our team. We had a great season. I think I was like 7-3 that year, or that summer. And we ended up winning the Frontier League championship. And here's some of those images. And we got this ring that I'll never put on, but that's a championship ring. Yay. But after playing that season, all of that success, signing autographs, being in parades, being in the newspaper, being on the radio, I realized that something was still missing. I was really missing this true, deep, long-lasting joy and fulfillment from baseball that I thought it was going to give me. And I began at that point thinking to myself, okay, God, maybe you want to use this for something else. Maybe you can use me in some other way. I don't know what it is. I don't know where you want me to go. But that following spring, I was sent a contract from the Richmond Roosters to sign and go back and play with them again. And I remember signing everything and getting ready to mail it back. And it was, I swear at that exact moment, or within a few days of that, where I was going to mail off my contract to go back, I came to a huge fork in the road of my life. I had another offer from a friend of mine, my best friend Peter, that I grew up with in San Diego. He was part of a group from UC Davis that was their Athletes in Action program, and they were invited to go and pilot a new missions program in Costa Rica. And what this was it was a 9-month trip to Costa Rica where we would learn Spanish and do sports ministry with young people. And it was at this point, maybe for the first time in my life, I felt God was asking me to choose, professional baseball or use this for ministry. And I felt like he was saying, take this, use this for ministry, rather than this path. And I remember being unsure and saying, I don't know where this is going to go. I know where this could go, and I don't want to miss that. But I remember standing at this pretty profound fork in the road of my life. And so I'm going to stop for this week, and we'll continue this next week. And next week we'll be talking a little bit more about the choice I made and where that went and what God did through that and just the miraculous things that God did. Before you take off to your home group right now, I want to ask you 3 questions. And these were sort of the 3 questions that I was asking myself. The first one is there anything that you are holding on to so tightly, whether it's your goals or dreams or ambitions or material possessions, that you won't let God take it? Is there anything you're holding on to so tightly that God can't have that? And why? What is that? And why are we holding on to it so tightly? Because I would encourage you to think about, maybe in letting that thing go, even if it's something you earned, like pitching in baseball was something that, man, I worked my butt off. I did a lot more pitching and training than a lot of other people did, mainly because my dad was a coach and he knew what I needed to do. But still, I thought I had earned, I thought I deserved, I thought blah, 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 but I didn't hold baseball openly, or I didn't hold, maybe for you it's something else. So what is that? And I want you to answer that honestly. And then just deep down in your heart, the second thing, are you willing to trust God with everything in your life? Maybe you struggle to hold on to something, but is there something that you say you believe in God, but have you really surrendered everything to him? And so, I don't know. I know for me, I'll share more of that next week. But why, if you don't fully surrender your life and trust God with everything in your life, why is that? And then kind of the last question is, what's one fear then, or what's one uncertainty you have in surrendering everything to Jesus? If you're someone who says, I don't fully surrender my life to Jesus, or I haven't become a Christian and asked Christ into my life, what's holding you back? What do you think is going to be better? Do you believe that Jesus is trustworthy? Do you believe that you can fully trust him with your life? And if not, why not? And so that's what I'm hoping that you guys can discuss in your home groups right now, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.